final time today, it's my pleasure to introduce next speaker, Lavina Ramchandani. I hope I've said that reasonably well, yeah. Lavina. Who's going to talk about skills and strategies for new test managers. Lavina is an experienced software test manager with a comprehensive understanding of tools available for software testing and analysis. She aims to provide valuable insights that have high technical aptitude and hopes to inspire others in the world through her work, blogs, podcasts, and regularly speaks at events on data science models and other topics. Lavina, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, BCS, for having me here today. It's really nice to be part of this. And yeah, I just wanted to share this talk around skills and strategies for new test managers, as I became a test manager early last year, and it's been a really fun experience, and I wanted to share it out with everyone out there who might be interested in becoming a manager as well, and all the things that come with it. So without further ado, I'll get started. So just a little bit about myself. I've graduated with a BSc Honours in Computer Science. I fell into testing. I didn't know what testing was about, but my first project was around testing fuel cards with Shell. I've got 10 years of experience now within the testing industry. I've worked in various industries, including oil and gas, transport, financial services, consumer goods, and right now, aviation. Some of my hobbies include dancing, yoga, teaching, and baking. So today, what are we going to look at? So we've got to understand what is management, firstly, traits to cultivate for new managers, strategies to help managers manage better, being a people's manager rather than just a manager. We will also talk about feedback and ways to success.
Lavina, I think we're just seeing like edit mode of PowerPoint. Can you go to the slideshow? I think then we'll see the slides properly.
Okay.
If you press play, I think.
I have pressed play.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
I can see the slide, but it's not the presentation. It's not the slideshow, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
If you're happy to carry on, I think we're seeing the right slides. It's just that they're not full screen. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You click on play, it should be okay.
I have pressed play. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, but it's not gone into play. Carry on. Just carry on. We can see the slide. It's big enough.
I'll just share my entire desktop. I think that would be the best thing, and then I'll bring up my slides.
I think so.
Yeah, let's do that.
And if you press play now, I think you'll be in business.
Okay. Please let me know if
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, that's completely fine.
You're there. You're excellent.
This works?
Yep, I will shut up now. Goodbye.
Okay. It's just the table of contents that I went through, so hopefully that's clear. And I was just going to go around the first chapter. So what is management actually? So this is a quote from TechWell. In traditional software processes, test managers are responsible for all management aspects of their team. They roll out tasks and assignments, hold frequent meetings to stay on top of progress, review and approve estimates, and often provide technical guidance as well. So this is one example of what management is about. There's some more. A person responsible for controlling or administering an organization or group of staff. An example of a manager is a person who is in charge of customer service, who deals with customer disputes, and who oversees and supervises customer service agents. One who handles, controls, or directs, especially one who directs a business or other enterprise. Another example here is a manager is an individual within an organization who is in charge of coordinating the efforts of individuals or the allocation of resources. As such, a manager is one who undertakes management activities. Now, these are some traditional meanings of what a manager does. And I'm sure that those managers who are listening to me today, and maybe some new managers, you might have a different style of managing, and that's completely fine. That's the best thing, because the more set of skills we have and different types of skills we have, that constitutes a good manager. We don't all have to have exactly the same skills, if you know what I mean. So Did you know 2.4 million employed full-time UK managers, directors, and senior officials exist right now in the UK? And this is quite a big number. So we need to make sure that if we are managing, we are managing in the right way as well, and not doing things that we're not supposed to do, such as micromanaging, for example, or other sort of things that might seem that it's okay to do as a manager, but really we should think about how we can become better at what we are to help our team grow and ourselves grow at the same time. Also, there's about 1,583,412 managers currently employed in the United States. That's about 49% of all managers are women, while 51% are men. And the average age of employed managers is 44 years old in the US. So we can see that the numbers are quite high, and there are loads of managers in many companies. So management is doing the things right, and leadership is doing the right things. I hope you can see this image. I hope it's not too blurry, Paul, but I'll read over it. So 5 things new managers should focus on first. Establish a leadership philosophy. Focus on the day-to-day management and leadership. Be clear about your communication and priorities. Set common values and common standards. And remember that it's okay to be scared and vulnerable. Imposter syndrome is quite normal to have, and do not worry about it, because we are at a stage that we are learning. Me, for example, I had never managed before, but I always wanted to be there one day. And the way it came, it was so sudden that I had to just get onto my role and learn from there and get help of my seniors. But it just felt that moment that, will I be able to even deliver in this role or not? So it's okay. So do not worry. So what do I do? So as a manager, you nurture or hone skills, support team and deliverables such as BAU, report on agreed KPIs. Don't feel embarrassed to ask your head off for support, because they are there for it. They've been there one day, so they're there to help you. Provide information to stakeholders and my team. This is what I do. I do line management. I work on objectives for my team members, make sure we have a streamlined process when testing is end-to-end automation or regression, making sure that there is some sort of process rather than just doing it out of the blue. I also work on my team strategy. So working on new projects when they first come in, and if they impact my area, I start working on a strategy of how we're going to tackle this. I champion quality best practices across teams, and responsible for defining and implementing a test strategy across multiple domains. So this is basically what I do, but this could be some slightly different for other managers, but roughly it's similar in some way. So part 2, traits to cultivate for new managers. So first thing that would be really good for new managers would be to be a good coach. I'm not suggesting that you have to undergo so many courses to be a coach, but if there is something available in the company, I definitely suggest that put your name on the list and coach your team members or anyone at your level as well, just to see how you can help others. Express interests or concern for team members' success and personal well-being. Always make sure that you are thanking your team members. You are trying to understand if there's something that's not right with a member. You're there for them. You're supportive. You have the empathy within yourself. Be very productive and results orientated, because at the end of the day, when you're kind of reporting to higher managers, you might want to provide some statistics. You might want to provide some sort of key things within your team that you've achieved. So you have to have these sort of results handy. Empower the team and do not micromanage. So we are more about empowering, making sure the team is feeling safe and supportive rather than micromanaging the team, where the team might feel low and might not want to work within that team itself. We also want to be a good communicator. Listen and share information. So this is really big. So we want to communicate clearly. We want to listen a lot. As a manager, it's really good to listen a lot, because it's about the people you're managing, the work you're managing. So listen to be able to deliver well and share the right information as well. And help the team with career development where possible. So there are some management streams which is fully managing just your team members. There are some companies who might have managers that manage team members as well as projects. And then there are some managers who only manage projects. So it's up to you and the kind of culture and values of the company that you work in that could allow you either or a mix of these things. So how do we define the right managers? Do we really have right managers, or every manager right now is doing slightly the right thing in their own way, in their own skills? So let's have a look at that. A good manager is defined as a leader who can bring out the best performance from their team, train the team to attain new heights, help everyone align with company goals, treat people with respect and help achieve every day. A good manager ensures great employee experience, a journey that every employee goes through from hire to exit. So it's not just about hiring people, it's also about making sure they have an excellent experience within the team. And when they leave, they feel that this was a great team to work for and this was a great manager to work for. So that's the kind of environment we want to create. Some other great qualities of a manager include excellent coach, as mentioned, care about development, great communicator, emotionally resilient, fair treatment to everyone, encourage innovation, spread positivity, empower teams, and care for their team. So this actually makes a great manager, all of this. Just before I get onto the third chapter, I wanted to tell you that as much as these qualities, there are many qualities, you don't have to tick mark all of them within a month or within a week. This comes with experience. So as you start maybe as a tester or a test analyst, you must have picked up that communicating the right things, the right information about a bug is really good. So that's where your communication starts becoming better. Maybe you are trying to even be part of a meeting and you're discussing something. So that's also helping your communication. Then when you become a bit senior as a senior tester, maybe you pick up another skill and you become good at it. And as you go throughout the years, like myself, I've got 10 years now in this area of software testing, you have so many skills that you've accumulated. So it takes time. I wouldn't say rush, but if you have the support and any course that you'd like to do to become a good manager, feel free to do that too. So strategies for managers to manage better. What can you do? So in terms of emotional resilience, a manager's ability to lead through change, basically, give fair treatment, so treating employees fairly and encourage diversity, and remember overall effectiveness, focusing on progress, not just results. So of course, results need to be provided to higher managers, but we also want to see that we're progressing, because we don't want to give results or statistics or numbers that don't show progress. For example, I can share a simple example where, say, for instance, you have a team where you are doing a lot of automation, but that automation is not really showcasing any positive results. It's just happening at every regression, but it's not really doing anything better. It's just giving you the confidence that, yes, the tests work, but it's not adding new things to it or adding the state of art sort of toolkits to it and stuff like that. It's just something running on the side, but we are not running it in terms of what's out there in the testing world right now, or new kind of ways of doing things. So we can't just mention that sort of automation. We want to mention that we are progressing with it as well. We are trying to refactor things, for example. We are trying to add a bit more of a challenging test to be automated as well, for example, things like that. Oh, this is a bit small, but I'll read it over for you. So goal setting could also be a good strategy to have. So clarifying the vision that this company has and that this individual has for you in the team as well, because they also have a vision for their career. So you can also mention where the business is now to the employees that you're managing and where does it want to be. This is the starting point of goal setting and the idea to define. Paul, I might have to just come out of this because I think there's more text.
Yeah, whatever you need to do, Lavina.
Sorry, I think I had it here. Let me know when you can see this slide. Can you see what is management?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. There we go. I'll press play again. I think I made it big on one slide, but I forgot to do it on the other one. So yes, so the core objectives of, or what the company stands for, the mission, the vision, the core values, strategic focus areas, you want to talk about this to your team so that the goal setting session can go successfully. So the actions out of that would be to communicate widely and openly, ensure clearly defined tasks and responsibilities so everyone knows what's expected of them and what needs to be done. Put the focus on what consistent implementation of activities. Promote the team spirit. So we are all in this together and like a dream team, for example. Closely control the process so that deviations from targets are detected early and countermeasures are quickly put in place. So this could be another strategy to have as a manager. Does it work or did it work? How effective your strategies have been in achieving the desired results. If the strategy is working as expected, you should be hitting all or most of your benchmarks and keeping employees happy too. If results are below par, then either something has gone wrong in the implementation phase or the strategy itself is poor. In the worst case, you have to go back to goal setting stage and reframe your plans in the light of your results. But it's okay. As new managers, for me, for example, people management was new. And the project management side of thing as well, like managing different tasks. So what I did was I tried to sit down with the employees and understand what they want to achieve and what the values of the company are so that we can kind of mix them together to give the right sort of objectives at the end of the year for them. And this way it just helps. But you have to kind of ask other managers, your head of, or anyone who's done this before to kind of experience it and also build something that you want for your team. And again, imposter syndrome will kick in, but that's completely okay. So remember, people over projects. Of course, we have projects day in, day out, but our people are the people working on these projects. So we need to care for them and have that empathy as a manager all the time. So being a people's manager, why do we want to be a people's manager? Effective people management can improve morale and employee engagement, reduce turnover, and enhance communication throughout teams. The best bit, this position allows you to sense every member of the team as well as the shape of the team itself. Sensing all members refers to the first statement above, getting to know your team members, listening to them, understanding who they are, how they feel, how do they fulfill their part of their work within the team. We want to make sure that we have a happy team. Of course, there's going to be times where maybe there's something that we need to deliver and it becomes a little bit stressful, but at the end of the day, we can count on our team members. So some more stats. So 15% of managers possess humility. From 10 CEOs, only 1 will be humble. And 18% is 1 in 5 actually demonstrated. So this already shows you that we need to work hard as managers. We need these numbers to go higher and help us become good at what we do. So these are some opinions from my colleagues. I know that Simon has spoken today, but this is what some of them mentioned, and things like encouraging, supportive, transparent managers, good listeners, focused on goals and business values. Suman says focusing on team members' strengths instead of pushing for their weakness areas. Prioritization, it could be based on time, task, business value, and skills. Simon says building an effective team, nurturing, coaching, and empowering the team, being an advocate of your team, and also testing best practices, being a servant leader, so servanthood. So feedback, giving and receiving. So at times we think that it's all about giving feedback to our employees or our colleagues, but we never think about asking them, how do they find being part of this team, or how did I do as a manager the first 6 months of my role, or how did this session of objective setting go? So these are the things that we should be asking them as well. So feedback motivates, that's why it's super important. And it enhances personal improvements. It strengthens relationships. Employees want it, and employees value it as well. Another information from PwC. According to PwC, nearly 60% of employees surveyed stated that they would like feedback on a daily or weekly basis, a number that increased to 72% for employees under the age of 30. So this already shows that 60% is a high percentage. So we should be working in that manner and increasing that percentage to be able to give as much feedback as possible, whether that's positive or negative, that you might have heard through other teams. I know giving negative feedback sometimes can be difficult because we might either upset someone or might not know how to kind of handle the situation there and then, but there's techniques of doing that. We need to kind of phrase it in a way, or maybe not do it in a meeting room, maybe go out for a coffee and try and keep it like a very positive conversation so that the individual also doesn't feel pressurized, but they also understand that this was not the best thing and how can it be improved in for the next time, for example. Or if they did something really well, then maybe share it in the channels, make sure that they're celebrated as well. So how often should we give feedback? To make the most impact, it can be helpful for managers to ask the following questions before offering feedback. Is this a pivotal point for the project or role? Are they learning a new skill with delicate or risky implementation? For example, presenting to the board or budget approval? Or do you simply want to check in? For example, your team is working on an important project with their peers and lots of changes are happening simultaneously. So you just want to check in. So this is something that a manager can offer as a question. So what would you like a feedback on? Or before offering you feedback, can I ask you certain questions? Is this any of these three options stated? And see what the individual says, and then carry on from that point, because it gives you time to plan for the meeting then. Receiving feedback. So ask for it constantly, request examples as well, work with fellow managers, act on the feedback or find ways on how to acknowledge any of your weaknesses, and listen actively. So feedback is a gift. It costs time and effort to share, but when we have it, we're better off. So let's give it generously. So this is from a new manager as well. If all of this doesn't work, if the feedback process doesn't work, even if you don't agree with what was said, receive it graciously and recognize that it took effort to give. If others find you defensive, you'll get less feedback in the future, which will only hurt your growth. So it's not just about giving positive or negative feedback to individuals, but receiving it as well. And if the feedback is not something you agree with, try and understand that the individual took time to think of this feedback and come to you with confidence. So take it in a positive way and see how it can be improved. Routes to success. Routes to success means building an effective team, nurturing, coaching, and empowering the team, being an advocate of your team, and also of testing best practices, and being a servant leader is some of the things that Simon mentioned in the earlier slide. So, quick question comes up then. Can I be a test manager now? You can, but the role is evolving always. You're learning so much. The focus should now be on the team and raising the awareness of quality engineering or testing, rather than leaving it as a siloed activity and you being 100% accountable for the quality of the product. Perfect. So some tools and techniques. Test management solutions help you capture requirements, design test cases, test execution reports, resource management, and etc. So you can use these to help you. Software quality oversight can cause a company high monetary loss, reputation loss, or expose it to litigation risk. So make sure that you are using the right sort of tools and techniques to basically give you the right results. And a good test management tool is the key to avoiding bugs and defects getting into production as well. Now, the question is, how do we choose one? There's so many tools and it gets a bit confusing at times as well. So how do we choose the right one? So how to choose what works best for your team? So you need to understand, what mindset do you use? Do you want to work on the tool with your team? You want your team to explore different tools, or do you want to take the decision within just yourself, or maybe one other higher management person? I would suggest go with your team. The more people that use it, that understand it, that play with the tool, the better it is, because then you know what works best for the team. So my suggestion will always be, go with your team support. Some attributes of a tool for you to think. So any tool that you choose, does it work with your team? Is it easy test execution in it? It supports exploratory testing. Does it have a custom dashboard that you can make out of results that you can collect in the tool? Does it do real-time reporting? Any requirements management, can it capture that? Project organization, support, and promotes collaboration. So you can communicate on certain tickets together and whatnot, and maybe work on things together. So that was all. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't whiz through the whole thing, but hopefully I gave you some tips and techniques to be a new test manager. And I will say it's not easy, but it's really interesting when you're doing it. And there's so much, it's not just about the technical insights, it's about the business acumen, it's about the people, it's just everyone together. So I hope you enjoyed the talk. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So over to you, Paul, and feel free to connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lavina. It's been a long day, maybe not for you, but for me. So questions, please, in the usual way, on the chat or on the Slido page. I think, Lavina, you've presented a kind of a view of management and test management that is, let's say, traditional. I don't take offense at this, okay?
No, yeah.
But how does that relate to the agile world? I mean, I know the principles are probably the same, of course, but the practicalities differ. What's your experience of dealing with a variety of kind of approaches, from waterfall through to agile?
So in terms of management, I've worked in hybrid teams, so I can give you an example of that, because they pick the best of waterfall and agile. So it can be tricky at times, because when you're trying to work and you have certain things, and because I like working in agile, I'm always promoting for it, and then you have to do something in a waterfall-y manner. It just slows things down. Like you might have a project come in and you want to start writing a test strategy, test plans and everything in a waterfall-y way, rather than let's work together hand in hand and shift testing to the left and get some more insight and information before we start doing these things. It can become a bit challenging, but actually it's good to see it from the both worlds, because of course waterfall is one of those things where testing is not the first thing that you think about. Mm-hmm. It's traditional and it happens a lot at the end, but agile is one where testing is shifting to the left, and I really enjoy that because we can have conversations earlier. So as a manager, you do get involved in project meetings that have not even started. It's just an idea, and it just helps you go back to your team and be like, team, we have something new coming up, just letting you know, we might have another new project and this is what it's going to be about, but that's all I know. So let's start thinking of ideas of what could the edge cases be of this type of project, or what can we think ahead of time and script it somewhere so that when it comes to it, we can ask these sort of assumptions and ambiguities. Mm-hmm.
I think even in traditional structured waterfall projects, you can still be agile by talking to your team every day. But we have a couple of questions for you. First one is from Simi. Would you say managers should give constant feedback to avoid any surprises when it comes to reviews? I don't know if that's reviews of documents or personal, professional reviews of employees. Take it whichever way you think.
Yeah, I think from the question, I can understand that they mean by the objectives or yearly reviews. I think it's, as a manager, I have been giving constant feedbacks. I have check-ins usually every month or bi-monthly, so that I can keep checking that the objectives that the individuals had stated, they are working on it and they've not forgotten about it, because it's very easy to sometimes be so busy on a project and be like, oh, I had objectives as well to work on. So you have to just keep reminding them that, you know, when you have some time and you said you're going to do a training on automation, for example, have you looked up the course that you'd like to do at least, or have you started a chapter of it? It's just reassuring for them as well, and reminding them that there will be reviews at the end, and I don't want you to miss out on anything. And just be honest with them that if you don't do work on these objectives, then you will miss out on something, maybe a potential bonus. So how can I help you to become better at this? And if there's something that I can take off your plate, what could that be? And then just have a friendly conversation, and that has helped a lot. Sometimes I've got the answer like, oh, I forgot about my objectives totally. And that's what you want to kind of remind them earlier, so that there are no surprises at the end.
I think that's where coaching comes in as well.
Exactly.
And you're helping people to stay, if you like, on track from their objectives if they are serious about tackling them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Next question from Bianca. How do you strike a balance between giving autonomy to teams to choose their own test tools / languages and trying to keep some consistency across the department for freedom of people movement and maintenance ease? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a big question.
I will be honest, I'm not at that stage yet, but I have seen glimpses of it. So I think autonomy is super, super important. There might be individuals who already have worked with certain tools or certain languages in automation. So giving them the chance of showcasing that within the team is perfect, rather than just going with like, oh no, I like JavaScript, so we're going to do JavaScript. No. It's best to ask your team, not just testers, even developers, because developers do come, they're very helpful. They work with testers hand in hand, and they can also share their information that works best for them. So I would say, give the autonomy, share your thoughts as well, that these are the tools that I'm thinking of. I'm inviting these people to come and give a talk. But if you have used any tools, please bring them on the table, because I'd like to bring someone from that company to come and give us a talk as well. And then in terms of movement and maintenance, I'm not understanding, does that mean people moving from my team to other teams, if I'm comfortable with that, or if it's okay to?
I think it could mean when people learn a new skill, they become more marketable to your competitors potentially.
Right. Okay.
Or vice versa. So if and right now, AI is the hot topic of the generation, I would say. Everyone's talking ChatGPT. So, should we all go down the ChatGPT route? Absolutely not. It's appropriate for some things.
Exactly.
And so on. I think that the architectural view, I think, to address the technical challenges, get good at integrating tools. That if you need to swap a tool out and swap another one in, you know what you're in for in terms of plugging in a new product.
Exactly.
Questions are coming in now, I'm afraid. I'm going to fire another one at you, if that's all right. Corey Littlefair, I'm a senior QA. I'm also a team lead. My team consists of QA, front-end devs and back-end devs. Management is tricky at times due to the level of experience across the roles. Any advice, please? I'm not sure what the problem is.
Same, but
due to the level of experience across the roles. So dealing with junior people and senior people, I don't know if that's what you're asking.
It can happen. You might have like senior devs in there, and then you are a senior QA, and you might not be able to handle someone with a certain mentality mindset that they have for so many years, and you've just come in as a senior QA to want to do things. It can be looked at in a different way. I've had it in the past, in previous companies. I've felt it, but I think just take it lightly. Maybe just have coffee catch-ups with the individuals. Just check in with them and ask them, what are the new things that you're working on? How did you get into this role? What interests you about the dev work or the back-end side of things? And just try and become friendly with them. And I think when you become friendly with them and they understand you, then it's the time where you can actually, in a nice way, say to them, when I started first in this team, I was really a bit panicky to talk to you because I was uncomfortable because you're quite senior, but I'm now comfortable to speak to you, and it feels good that I can talk to you and we can share our mindsets and be on the same boat, really, because at the end of the day, quality is everyone's responsibility. It's not just because someone's senior, they're going to deliver it, or just because we are QAs, we have to care about quality. It's not, it's just everyone. So I would say try and have that friendly atmosphere, that friendly environment, so that everyone can communicate with each other regardless of their experience, and actually not keep their experience to themselves, share it as well. So maybe you can do a lean coffee session in the company and you can get them to speak as well. So they're sharing things and it's everyone working together.
I think there is kind of a slight problem with, well, I say it could be a big problem of ageism in our industry, in that older people who might have 20 years experience quite often are sidelined by the youngsters who think they know everything. And so I think as a manager, you've got to encourage everybody to recognize that everyone has a contribution to make. Not everyone's a hot shot and kind of crazy, you know, working crazy hours and so on and so forth. So I think, so moving on, last question, and I think I have to close. And the case regular. So Corey says, thanks, is the case, and regular meetings are my approach to have a, quote, coffee and progress chat. So being sociable is always going to help. There's no two ways about it. But there's a challenge, isn't there, of how close you get to your team. So some people like to keep their distance and not get socially involved because they think it compromises their ability to sometimes to reprimand people, to give them bad news, to say we're going to change the structure of the team, you're going to go to another, and all that kind of stuff that you have to go through as permanent employees.
Yeah.
But being sociable doesn't usually cost that much, I have to say.